What's up, YouTube? What's up, Extreme Gains family? I'm Chuck, and this is Extreme Gains. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Sunday, February 6th, 2022, and this is the AMC Algo Exposed weekly preparation and update video for the upcoming week and beyond. I want to go over a couple things. I want to go over the current snake algo fractal overlay and projections, and the macro to macro fractal overlay from the 7-year macro descending wedge, and the previous snake that indicates bullish movement as we discussed last week. And I believe this is relevant now because it looks and appears to be like we may have a technical bullish setup happening here. So we're going to go over all three of those. If this is a new video that you're watching of mine and you haven't been here for a minute and you need context, I would ask that you go back and check out previous videos. A quick synopsis. This is what I have coined and created called the snake algo. It is where micro leads macro, and this is a clipped fractal from that, and it has now projected. It just came on. I just overlaid it 3 weeks ago, and it's projected 3 weeks worth as of Wednesday. The previous one had projected 2.5 months worth of movement, and this macro descending wedge, like I said, it's prior to the January 2021 run-up, and it's projected months worth in its entirety. This is just a portion of that, and it's this last portion that I believe that we're in, that I'm now currently, that I'm using just a portion of that for. Okay, so moving on. What is on the screen now is the current snake algo. Now, I moved it a little bit to get the placement the way I liked it. You guys and gals know I was having an issue with the staggered look that it was giving, albeit it was giving spot-on projections, like I said, for the last 3 weeks. But I went ahead and looked at it with fresh eyes today, like I do every weekend, and I got it laid in there the way I want. However, just so you know, it did extend the linear time that it would take for this to complete itself if, in fact, this whole thing is the whole fractal, right? And if macro does follow this whole fractal, then it's going to play out like it's placed. And in this placement, it has extended the time in which it would complete that, okay? It did not change the level to the downside or the price level to the upside, but it did change it with linear time, and I wanted to point that out to you. Also, you probably noticed that my macro chart is a little bit different right now from what it used to be. We had a little box top powwow this morning in the Discord, and I went ahead and zoomed out to the weekly, and I box topped this entire thing off. As you can see, there's a macro W here, the double-double, followed by the parabolic move, the box top pennant, right? This would be the one. It breaks down the one, consolidates. The two would be from here to here. It breaks down the 2 to the 3, consolidates. Third is here. And what has happened is it's created a macro third. Just so happens that this bearish fractal snake algo, the current one, makes that a significant level, which it is, but it comes into play with this fractal overlay as the potential move back up to the third, in which the box top method and schematics always do. And if you look at it from a mid time frame perspective, and you have, instead of one big one, you have these smaller ones inside of it. You have the box top, the move down, pull the third to the next box top, move down, pull the third, and it would come out here, box top. This would be like a compressed dissolve, like we see intraday, where you get the W, and then you get a grind up, followed by this parabolic to the macro third. So I found it interesting, and it's another box checked when looking at this and comparing this fractal as a whole, okay? All right, now let's move in so I can show you the overlay position of this and how it looks now. This is the 4-hour. Right? You can see why. Got the wicks up, got the dip in, we got the single bottom, got the box top, got the check down on the way up, the check up on the way down, and then this double bottom forming here. This is indicating, if laid properly and in the right position, and I feel good about it, but if this is the right one in the right position, and it has been for 3 weeks, it doesn't mean it will be any longer. I've told y'all, these things only work until they don't, right? And then at that time, we move into the next phase. So, but this is indicating a potential move to the upside. First part of this week. Potentially to the 1665 area. But keep in mind, again, this is not a candle for candle projection. It's meant for a generalized perspective of the macro movements. I say that all the time because I continually get people asking me, does that mean we're going down? It's not a candle, although it looks like it, right? It's not a candle for candle projection. So, for instance, you see these two candles here. We never did get that full-on move up, but it did nonetheless give us this movement as a whole so far. And I am expecting, according to this, another push to the upside, more than likely tomorrow. But in this scenario, it does show a rejection after that and a move back down to the downside. Excuse me. So that is the current snake algo fractal overlay, its positioning, and its projection. All right, now we're going to do the two bearish first, and then we'll do the bullish. This is the macro descending wedge from the 7-year fractal, right? That's its overlay. Now with this, neither one of these, well, I guess this one kinda, and maybe it needs, moved up a little bit, no, not moved up, but stretched a little bit. Doesn't seem to be, but these levels really become irrelevant that are on the chart now with this fractal being overlaid. Okay, not a make or break, but at this point, I mean, almost, to be honest, it almost is. If it hadn't been for the fact that this thing has projected months and months worth of movements, and this one here specifically, I had it like clear up to here at one point, so it's projected like from October till now. Had it not been for that, or if it's not for that, I would take this off, knowing that it is not showing these significant levels that are going to be permanent on the chart as being significant with this fractal overlaid on it. However, this is, what the hell? This is a full-on parabolic move, which would indicate to me that this would be pretty much the squeeze happening at that point, if that were to take place. Okay? The only time I've seen the relevant levels not come into play was basically here in the run-up and here in the run-up, right? All projected levels at that point are off the table, and this thing squeezes and pushes back up for the next move to the upside in that manner. None of these levels are relevant at that point anyways. So that's why it's still on the table. That and the fact that it's been projecting for months. I'll zoom into this, look at where it's at within the fractal. I talked about this last week. It's real close to invalidating, right? I would expect to see a move to the downside, a pretty hard one to the downside with it being positioned where it's at. And I do believe that it is pretty much where it is supposed to be, right? I can squeeze this tiny bit like there, right? It is pretty much where it's meant to be. So if this wouldn't, and there is a little bit of consolidation here in the blue, not exactly flat like this, but nonetheless there is. So if this were, and I talked about this last week, if this thing were to go ahead and just instantly move down this week, Monday, Tuesday, or whatever, just Monday or Monday and Tuesday. We're not going to invalidate this, right? I mean, obviously that's going to be, you know, we're going to say, oh yeah, that's the fractal. So for now, it's still on the table for me, and I am still looking at it, but this one here is getting starting to a little bit. So keep that in mind moving forward with this one, as I am. And that is the macro descending from the 7-year, and its positioning and its projection. Now this one here is the previous snake. And what I've done is shrink it down a little bit. Right there. And what you can see is that in this scenario, if that were to replicate itself, right? And what's crazy about this is, I've explained before with the box tops, what you see on macro is what you see on micro. What you see on micro is what you see on macro. This was leading up to this movement down in here. This was the macro fractal that we used to cover all of this from here down. And I thought, let me look. This may be, repeating itself over and over and over again. And you can see that here, right? Again, the levels are a little different, but you can see it here. And I thought, let me go ahead and put it here. And it was the overall, by the way, as well. And that's what got this parabolic move up. Was this. Obviously, this was enlarged, but this is what ended up being that parabolic move. Right? So let me shrink this down and take a look, see what that gives us. And that's what it gave me. So if this thing were to continue, and this is what I talked about on, I believe it was Thursday and Friday, about the ascending level of support that this is kind of displaying, right? Especially the overlay. Now, this didn't come down in here the whole way, but we are starting to get that. This is a little more closed off this way, and granted, we are getting some linear movement here with it, some flat linear movement, but maybe a expanded version or extended version of this. We'll see how it plays out, but I wanted to show you that. And the reason I'm even looking at this stuff is because of what I have outlined here, is a potential inverted head and shoulders that is appearing here from a technical setup perspective. You have shoulder, your potential shoulder, and your head. And I said on Thursday, I think it was, this thing needs to close off to start indicating that, and then a confirmation continuation to the upside. It would have to break the neckline to get the move up. Right there is pretty much, that's a little bit of a risk neckline. Obviously, the full-on neckline is up here at 1891, but at 1823, 1825 would really be, I guess, kind of the neckline break if you're looking at the two of them to be even as far as an actual even neckline break would be. So I would anticipate that being the potential. Where here? Yep. Right there. The potential neckline break would be right there. And then I would expect to see a move similar if that were the case. And if this technical setup, as well as the previous snake repeating itself, right? Remember I talked about compressing as well. I want to bring that up. Remember I talked about how in a box top scenario, these things get compressed and tapered before they reverse. Kind of same scenario, right? If we're in a big macro fractal, we're going to see a bunch of those micro fractals the same on the inside of that macro. And then they taper themselves literally till nothing until they go up. And that could be what we're seeing here. And then we get this completion of this head and shoulders if it were to play out and come to fruition I would expect to see a move and a break of that neckline at a minimum to the mid-sized, right? Ironically, again, the mid-sized third pull from the box top. I mean, literally a dead-on hit. And that's what I wanted, was to see if this would line itself up in a way that it replicated the movements, the ascending levels of support, that it would replicate a move up to at least one of these, as well as have some coverage of the moves preceding it. And that's what it gave me. And I think y'all can see what it is there that led me to show this to you. Okay? So those are the 3 potential macro overlays and scenarios going into tomorrow and this week that I'm looking at. 1 bullish, 2 bearish. Why I'm looking at them, what their projection status is, what they're indicating as projections for AMC. I do have a couple minutes here, just a couple. This is the, I'm going to have to go back to the 2 charts because it's in my other one. This is the SPY overlay. Go to the 4-hour. SPY current chart with the overlay of the 2008, 2009 SPY prior to its, during and prior to its correction and crash. This has been leading and giving a projection pretty well for the last, I don't know, for a while. Call it from here. December, all of December, all of January, and now we're into February, and it's still projecting spot-on movements, right? You can see in this overlay where it indicates that we are. Going to the 1 hour. Do I still have it lined up? Yep. I know a lot of people were freaking a little bit on Friday when it got that push to the upside, but it did indicate that. I showed you all that during the live stream, right? It did indicate a check up on the way down. It did start to curl around again here. So we'll see what it does here moving into tomorrow. If it continues to the upside, it maybe invalidates either the whole overlay, which we'll have to see for that, or at a minimum, maybe the positioning of it. So if and when it does that, we will take a step back, reevaluate, zoom out, and do what I've always done, and that seems to get us back on track. So that is SPY in a nutshell. That's what I'm looking for. Real quick, as far as projection, I think, again, in this position, currently where it's at, obviously I would expect a rejection somewhere up in here and a hard move to the downside if this were to continue to carry projection like it has in this position. Okay? So that's SPY in a nutshell. All right, not bad. 18 minutes, a little longer than I would have liked, but I wanted to get through those and I guess get my head wrapped around everything as well. I hope it helped you and you got your head wrapped around going into tomorrow. I'll be live first thing tomorrow morning, like always, right here at 9 a.m. from market open to market close, like always. Come by, say hello. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your support. Come by the live stream tomorrow. Like the video on your way out here on this one. Leave a comment if you would, please. I'd appreciate that support. And that's it. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I will talk to you all either in the live stream tomorrow, and I better, or in the update video that I put out nightly during the week after market close tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Later.